Matthew Vook versus Dan Benipayo. Game 1 went to the Sneak and Show player, but Game 2 is telling a different story. All these hate bears in play. Matthew has Dark Confidant, Aethersworn Canonist, and Containment Priest.
As we saw before, Benipayo does have Kozilek's Return in his sideboard. That would clean up here pretty nicely. Does have to draw it.
And I'm looking for Emrakul Sneak Attack again here. That would get me. We are live. Don't know about this game. That's going to be a harder one.
I'm just not live on any of my squares ever. I suppose there's some Liliana of the Veils in Vook's deck.
The 3 elementals. That one's live.
Brad Carpenter.
You almost won. You can't say you're not live at all.
Really let me down on that one.
Just couldn't find a window for that free spell. To make a 3rd elemental. Swing for 6 from Matthew puts Benipayo down to 3.
He has 1 turn to find that Kozilek's Return.
And that's it, yes. Right now, a sneak attack doesn't work because of the Containment Priest. And he's got to draw it. He can't even cantrip into it because of... Like, you cantrip into it and then next turn cast it.
Yeah.
But he doesn't have it either way. Gonna go to game number 3.
Benipayo should be on the play here, so that gives him some chance to get ahead of Containment Priest. The Sneak and Show deck, pretty capable of casting Show and Tell on the 2nd turn of the game, be it with Lotus Petal, be it with Ancient Tomb.
Yeah, in general, when I'm playing these combo decks like Sneak and Show, if I'm against a non-Force of Will deck like Punishing Abzan, I'm pretty happy with the matchup.
Yep.
When you look at the ways of interaction Matthew has, we saw that Containment Priest, but for these fast draws, you know, turn 2s and 3s out of Sneak and Show, what are his ways of dealing with it?
He can get, well, I guess Sneak Attack, you have a lot less play. If you can get Liliana of the Veil on the battlefield, you can deal with something that was Show and Telled in. So that's reasonable.
I guess you can... Actually, can you get it out a turn early? You have Mox Diamond.
Mox Diamond, yep. If you get Gaddock Teague on the battlefield, you can stop Sneak Attack from being cast. You're quite a bit colder to Show and Tell. There is a Karakas in the deck. There's a Mazavith as well, so those things can solve your problems.
Knight of the Reliquary can find it, but they don't have crop rotation.
You do have to worry about the Omniscience win. Benipayo does have 3 copies of Omniscience, which you can Show and Tell in.
It feels like one of the first things is that the fast combos might be tough for Matthew to deal with. Now, when you say fast, I mean really the first 2 turns.
Right.
If we make it to turn 3, Matthew has a lot of slower answers to the two various parts of Dan Benipayo's deck.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's why you see this deck, despite playing a lot of permanents that are mostly fair, reaching for Mox Diamond. You just have to get this stuff on the battlefield as fast as possible. Specifically, it combines really nicely with Chalice of the Void. Probably the biggest draw to a deck like this. You're playing fair, not Brainstorm. One of very few reasons to do that.
For Benipayo's deck, we saw him yesterday, 2 Kozilek's Return in the sideboard and 1 Abrade. Dan did not play that last game like he had the Kozilek's Return out. He had a Ponder and enough mana to cast K Return that he drew important, just chose not to. That to me, I'm wondering whether or not it was actually in his deck. I bet it is now that he just got beaten up by some Containment Priest.
We didn't see the graveyard either. Maybe he had to expend it earlier. We did come in the middle of the game.
3 ways to deal with problematic creatures. There are Blood Moons as well in Benipayo's deck.
I think he had one in hand there as well. It's not great against Mox Diamond decks.
There's 1 basic Forest. That's the only basic in Matthew's deck, but you're right, there are the 4 Mox Diamond.
It's not a counterspell deck, so the Blood Moon should usually come down. You have that going for you.
I'm always interested that Punishing Abzan doesn't actually play Deathrite Shaman.
It costs 1.
A black-green deck. Yeah.
You're playing Chalice.
You know, I see like 11 creatures. I see Bayous and think, yeah, it's probably a Deathrite Shaman deck. But this one's splitting the difference between being a Diamond Chalice deck and a fair deck. Mm-hmm. It's more on like the prison style of the meta.
Yeah. It's built to do a very specific thing, and that's why you see it skirting some of the format's most powerful cards. some deliberation over the openers. You do have to be particular against a deck like Sneak and Show because they can beat you so quickly. Really want to have something hateful or minimally, and I think it has to be turn 1 Dark Confidant.
Turn 1 preordained from Benipayo. The first thing I'd want to look at in this matchup is whether or not he has a fast combo. We see Ancient Tomb and Emrakul in his hand.
That's most of it.
We're missing a piece, but yeah, we could turn 2. No problem. It would expose him to Caracas. Do you think Dan respects that in this matchup, or just full speed ahead?
You can usually expect that these Knight of the Reliquary multiple color decks play usually 1 Caracas, so you can generally fade it.
Wait, that means if I show and tell, I put in Emrakul, you put in Knight of the Reliquary,
then you're in trouble,
right?
You're in a lot of trouble.
That's neat. Just a land from Matthew. Dan will turn 2, cast a Brainstorm.
Yeah, he'd really like to put in Omniscience.
We got a sneak attack here.
Yeah, sneak attack
and Omniscience.
Yeah, sneak attack can also beat Caracas just by putting in the creature multiple times. Basic Island is first land here, so he does have to find some red mana.
Put sneak attack and Emrakul into play. Looking for that one. He's got it. He's got Emrakul and sneak attack in his hand.
He's most of the way to a combo. Hanging out with a Force of Will so we can stop something like another Reliquary from coming down, or a Containment Priest, likely the bigger thing to fight over.
End step. Baron Moore will be cycled by Matthew, and Dan didn't make a second land here.
Trying not to get wastelanded, I suppose.
Okay. Yeah, if he makes Ancient Tomb before the turn he wants to cast it, that's no good.
And there is a wasteland there in Matthew's hand.
That's a real heads-up play then by Dan. Matthew plays a second land. It does mean that, though, if Dan wants to chain up to something like Sneak Attack, that he has to draw a Lotus Petal. Now you see he exposes Ancient Tomb and just says go. This is a real good opportunity for Matthew.
Dan's also off the red mana for Sneak Attack, so there's a lot going on there.
Yeah. Wasteland takes care of Ancient Tomb. 3 Force of Wills in Benipayo's hand. None of those interact with Wasteland. He draws. Does he hit a land? No. There's the Sneak Attack. His hand is... He'll discard Sneak Attack to turn. He's got Emrakul, Gristlebrand, 3 Force of Wills.
City of Traders, I think.
Okay.
Because he had 2, he could commit the first one to Wasteland.
Land Mox Diamond for Matthew. Looks like he's going for Green Sun Zenith for 3. Now, check that. We'll start with Aethersworn Canonist.
There's a Golgari Charm in hand, which can answer a Sneak Attack that doesn't have a follow-up the same turn.
Yeah, Benipayo's going to Force of Will away the Aethersworn Canonist.
With so many Force of Wills, it makes sense.
Yeah, 3 of them in his hand right now?
Yep.
Seems fine. Draws Ancient Tomb, plays it and says go. You're right, does have another City of Traders in hand. 2 Green Suns, Golgari Charm, available for the Punishing Abzan deck. He will cast. Let's see here. Checking his sideboard, makes see what he has in and whatnot.
Yeah. Can I find Gaddock Teague right now?
Well, he's got 1 in the main.
He's making sure it's in his deck.
He didn't board it out.
Just seeing what his options are. Green Suns for 2, that's usually what you'd be finding. You could go for Scavenging Ooze. It's not great in this matchup.
Looks like he'll go for Green Sun for 3. That would find Knight of the Reliquary. That's not bad. It gives Benipayo really 1 turn to interact, and then he starts getting wastelanded again.
Yep. Get wastelanded off this stuff. Also just leave it up, find that Caracas.
At 10, 1 and 1 for Matthew Vook, a win here would be very close to locking up a top 8 spot. All right, does pull the trigger on the X equals 3 for the Zenith. So you can go up to Ramanep, Excavator, or Knight of the Reliquary here. And you know, with Wasteland in the graveyard, Excavator might just be fine if you want to Wasteland right now.
Yeah, if you want to do it right now, I think because the Knight could just find Caracas as well, it's a better find. Even though he cast for 3, he's still looking at Gaddock Teague.
Sure. Ends up deciding for Knight of the Reliquary. So Benipayo's got 1 turn here to do something big. He'll cast Ponder.
He still has the out of show and telling and omniscience.
He finds Mountain and Lotus Petal. Now hold on. Lotus Petal with the City of Traders in his hand could do something big here. Right? He could get the sneak attack into play. Now the Golgari Charm has that covered.
Yeah, if he goes for that, he'd be punished in a big way.
Yeah, so he's going to shuffle, which makes me wonder, what he's looking just for the show and tell? He doesn't have blue anymore.
If he would want to show an omniscience. That's the only thing he can show and tell in anymore once the knight untaps.
Right.
Yeah, or he can be setting up just have a bunch of Medran and sneak attack in one turn, which that ponder gave him some setup for.
Yeah, Mountain and Lotus Petal. He'll draw. I suppose if he's just trying to find that show and tell, though, he'll play Basic Island and then pass. If he puts show and tell Omniscience into play, Matthew's cards don't really have an answer to that.
No, even when you Caracas Emrakul, when it's just cast, you don't get anywhere. It grants you a free turn.
Yeah, that's Omniscience, an answer to a lot of that type of interaction.
You might have a window to Caracas and Golgari Charm the Omniscience.
That would be big. Now, Dan had a third Forcible in hand. We don't know if he has the blue card to go with it.
But you don't need that when you have Omniscience.
Right. Liliana drawn for Matthew.
Previously, we've seen Benipayo discard the hand size. Hard to leverage Liliana in situations like that. Likely to see him prioritize his other spells above that.
You don't think we're going to Liliana the Veil Ultimate not happening here?
Doesn't seem realistic. I think we're more likely going to see Knight of the Reliquary attack for lethal.
Currently, the Knight is a 5/5. Knight. He'll float a mana. Knight will sacrifice the Savannah. I would guess we're getting Caracas or Wasteland here. He'll go for Wasteland.
Yeah, both of them reasonable finds here.
I don't know. I mean, he takes care of the Ancient Tomb. This doesn't actually, because Dan has the city, I don't think this actually hurts him.
Doesn't hurt him significantly just yet, but with two basic islands, Benipayo can't realistically set up a huge turn next turn. Right. If he shows in a creature, that's fine. There's no problem. Matthew has that covered. Just find Caracas next turn.
Well, if he shows in Omniscience, though.
He still has Golgari Charm mana up.
Okay. Another land for Dan. He passes. Dark Confidant shows Chalice of the Void, Matthew. He's nice. Don't take any damage for that. And then he draws the Caracas.
All right.
I'm assuming you want a Chalice for 1 here to stop Dan from pondering into the show and tell.
I'm into that. You can still, you have to tap the Caracas, which I think is fine, but you can still leave up Abrupt Decay mana, or Golgari Charm rather.
To cast the Chalice?
If you cast Chalice, you could leave up Golgari Charm mana after that if you use the Caracas. So you kind of have to choose 2 of those things.
Well, you could do both if you're willing to not attack with Knight of the Reliquary.
That's true too, yeah.
But that's, I mean, that's a lot of damage now. It's a 7/7.
Yeah.
Here's Chalice of the Void on 1. Knight, Dark Confidant attacks Dan down to 17. It looks like Matthew's going to try to leave up both. Dan draws. He just needs to draw show and tell now. Can't really cantrip into it. Not with that Chalice.
Mm-hmm.
Force of Will, Emrakul, Omniscience, Gristlebrand, City of Traders.
Yeah, there's the downside of a lot of these combo decks. Your combo doesn't assemble correctly. You end up with a lot of cards that just do nothing.
They do everything. Yeah.
If you assume that Omniscience was already in play, then yeah, this is a pretty meaty hand.
Got a lot of 8 drops and 15s and 5s, and you don't pay for any of them. This is a nice hand.
Yeah.
Dan will shuffle to get his basic mountain. Didn't find just yet. And end step, Matthew will use Knight of the Reliquary. It pumps more here. We'll have to check see if he can get it all the way up to a 1-turn clock. It's unlikely. He's going for a fetch land, so he's just trying to pump the knight as much as possible.
Yeah.
So 6 lands in the yard right now. It's an 8-8. If he gets a fetch land, he can push it up to 9-9. Looks like an easy 2-turn clock here.
Yep.
Maze of Ith is the find.
Yeah, it's already a 2-turn clock here. He decides to attack with the knight, so this is just something that gives him a little bit more interaction. Not huge, but it can matter.
I mean, it felt like he was already losing to just the Omniscience. Maze doesn't really change that.
Let's see if he makes some more permanents, and he can actually get to a point.
Or we can just take an Emrakul hit.
Yeah, where you can maze the Emrakul in combat and then just keep enough permanents to maybe come through for lethal in the following turn.
But if you maze the Emrakul,
it does get
then
untapped.
He can block.
Then he can, I guess he would be off. Depends how many permanents he can get up to. See Mox Diamond here. You might be able to Liliana it in the following turn.
Sure.
I think all of his potential lines are broken up by the Force of Will in Benipayo's hand if he's able to execute the combo.
Yeah, and Benipayo also has Gristlebrand, so he'd get both into play.
Yeah. Yeah, so Matthew's covering all the things he can realistically cover.
Yeah. Here's a swing. It's a big Knight of the Reliquary and a Dark Confidant. Not lethal, but very close. It looks like a hit for 11, Dan down to 5. He's going to abrade the Chalice of the Void on end step. Nothing Matthew can do about that, so Dan gets one more turn here. Draw. What does he find? Looks like a fetch land. I don't think that's going to play, and he doesn't have any cantrips. So it is Matthew Vook on Punishing Abzan. He is your winner, and he moves to 10-1-1.
Yeah. Was able to present just enough kind of prison-y elements to lock Benipayo out of the game there. The Sneak and Show deck also not fully delivering, which it kind of happened to you when you play these combo decks.